Join your bounty hunter, Mr. Charlie, on Big Time Radio Network every Friday starting at 7 p.m. for Sentinel AF. Mr. Charlo brings you the best in soca and dancehall music right to you radio, with some of the greatest soca and dancehall artists of all time, making you feel like he is bringing the island straight to you. So join your Oracle Mr. Charlie every Friday on Big Time Radio Network.
Got a story I need to tell about the world and how it's world. From police brutality to climate change, we gotta talk, no time for shame. Relationships can be so tough, but we need to talk not just enough about trust, love, and where it stands in our hearts. Let's break that chain. Let's talk about it, let's not hide. The truth is what makes us thrive. From politics to private fears, we need to hear each other's ears. Sometimes it feels like we're alone, but together we can make a zone where every voice is heard and seen. Let's make a change. It's time to begin. Workplace issues, gender gaps, equality. Let's not stop fast about pay, respect, and power. Let's stand up for what's true. Mental health, it's time to shine. No more stigma, we'll make it fun. Talk about anxiety, depression. Let's heal and find a better solution. Streets to the boardroom, our voices matter, we're not alone. Let's lift each other up, let's start now. Together we can make it grow. Let's talk about it, let's not hide. The truth is what makes us thrive. Don't politics to private fears, we need to hear each other here. Let's talk about it, let's not hide. The truth is what makes us thrive. Don't politics to private fears, we need to hear each other here. Got a story I need to tell about the world and how it's world. From police brutality to climate change, we gotta talk, no time for shame. Relationships can be so tough, but we need to talk not just enough about trust, love, and where it stands in our hearts. Let's break that chain. Let's talk about it, let's not hide. The truth is what makes us thrive. From politics to private fears, we need to hear each other's ears. Sometimes it feels like we're alone, but together we can make a zone place issues, gender.
Join Tahuti on the International Groove Carpet every Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. for sessions from around the world on Big Time Radio Network. Hop on board the carpet as he takes you on a musical journey around the globe, making stops in many places like India, Japan, Africa, Jamaica, and don't forget the good old USA. And just remember, you don't have to speak the language to understand the groove, because the groove is in the blood.
Confidence, beauty, elegance. At Greg Hall Boudoir Photography, we capture you at your absolute best.
With over 15 years of experience, Greg Hall knows how to bring out your unique style, making you look and feel incredible.
Solo or with that special someone, couples are always welcome. Choose from multiple affordable packages with custom add-ons to make your session unforgettable.
Fast turnarounds, easy online cloud proofing, and no-pressure selection. We make the process smooth, seamless, and stress-free.
Visit us at 10934 Hull Street Road and follow us on social media to schedule your session today. Greg Hall Boudoir Photography, because you deserve to shine.
Okay, men.
Beauty,
This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Tico Wells, choir boy from the Five Heartbeats, and you're listening to Big Time Radio Network.
Join your bounty hunter, Mr. Charlie, on Big Time Radio Network every Friday starting at 7 p.m. for Sentinel AF. Mr. Charlo brings you the best in soca and dancehall music right to you radio, with some of the greatest soca and dancehall artists of all time, making you feel like he is bringing the island straight to you. So join your Oracle Mr. Charlie every Friday on Big Time Radio Network.
Have you ever experienced tenderness or soreness in your scalp and not quite know what caused it? It could be a sign of alopecia. Alopecia is a condition that causes hair loss when the scalp or the hair follicles become inflamed and weakened. There are different types of alopecia, but generally they all lead to thinning edges, bald patches, or overall shedding. If you think you have alopecia, the first thing you should do is contact your doctor or your dermatologist for treatment options. But the second thing you need to do is use hair products that actually take care of the scalp, such as Refresh and Grow by Love It Skin and Hair. As a 25-year cosmetologist, I formulated this lightweight leave-in mist with vitamin B3, B5, green tea extract, and other ingredients that actually soothe irritation. They refresh the scalp and promote a healthy scalp environment so that you can grow your hair thicker and longer. Take the first step in your scalp health. Check out loveitskinandhair.com.
Big time fan, ready to level up your energy? Let's talk W Energy Drinks, the brand that's all about being better. Born from one guy's issue with the major big energy drinks, low quality ingredients, and weak flavors, W's taking on big energy with clean, high quality drinks that taste unreal. W's got no sugars, no artificial flavors, no dyes, and 0 calories. It's jitter-free, crash-free, and packed with over 15 unique custom-made flavors that thousands of people are loving every single month. From humble beginnings to taking on the giants, W's all about giving you clean, high-quality energy that tastes incredible. So whether you're grinding at work, hitting the gym, or just need a boost to your day, grab energy drink from W. Be better, feel better. Let's get it. And as a special offer to our big-time listeners, W is offering you 10% off your order when you use the code BIGTIME during your checkout. That's BIGTIME, BIGTYME, to get your 10% off at W.GG.
Got a story I need to tell about the world and how it's world. From police brutality to climate change, we gotta talk, no time for shame. Relationships can be so tough, but we need to talk not just enough about trust, love, and where it stands. In our hearts, let's break that chain. Let's talk about it, let's not hide. The truth is what makes us thrive. From politics to private fears, we need to hear each other's ears.
Go to a subject that's a little sad, but I want to go there because we need to mention it. I want to extend my condolences to 2 mothers that had to actually bury their children this past weekend. The mother in Shreveport who had to bury her 8 children, ages 3 to 11 years old. I cannot imagine what she is going through right now, but I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to her. I know what it is to have to bury one child, so I can't imagine what she may be going through. But my prayers are with her, and we have to check on our people. As well as here in Richmond, Virginia, the mother who had to bury 2 of her teenage children this past weekend, and the community that is also grieving the loss as well. Again, my heartfelt condolences goes out to her as well. An unimaginable loss that she is feeling at this time. My heartfelt condolences. Moving right along. The Supreme Court decided that Virginia voters don't have a say. They struck down the redistricting. I don't even know if you call it a law, but yeah, I guess it would have been a law, redistricting case that went before them that we voted on in this past election. Now, y'all, I preach all the time about how your vote counts and how it is your voice. But we keep being shown that that is not necessarily the case. What do we do? I don't have the answer. And I'm not ashamed to say that I don't have the answer. I wasn't quite sure I even wanted to talk about it, but I could not ignore it. I want to stop voting, but I can't stop voting because I know people died so that we could vote. So we have to keep going on. We have to keep fighting. So that means we have to keep trying to put people in office that represent our good. We have to keep fighting the good fight. As John Lewis said, we have to not be afraid to get in good trouble. That can look different depending on who's looking at it. But we have to keep fighting. We can't stop no matter what. So they may have won this time, but not necessarily, you know? We still fighting. We are still fighting the good fight. Yes. Okay. Live TV, y'all. So, moving right along, about this war that's not a war, that's a ceasefire, that's not a ceasefire. And the last I heard, President Trump says that the ceasefire is on life support because Iran reneged on their promises to the United States. I'm not sure what any of that means because I still look at it as a racquetball game this way. I don't know what lie to believe. They say one thing, he says one thing. They say one thing, he says one thing. I do not know. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I can't figure this thing out. I think we're still at war. But I ain't want to gossip, so you ain't heard it from me. That's all I'm saying. Moving right along. Friday night in Denver, at the Denver International Airport, someone jumped the fence, ran out on the tarmac in front of a moving airplane, and got sucked up into the motor, I believe, of the plane as it was moving and preparing for takeoff. Suicide, I don't know what. Suicide is a hard thing no matter what. And I don't know what else you could call it. Why would you jump the fence to run out on the tarmac if that was not your reasoning? Because you sure can't catch a plane that way. I don't know the reasoning. We may never know the reasoning. I haven't heard any more information from this. I'm just ripping it from the headlines. Again, my heartfelt condolences goes out to this person's family and loved ones and whatnot, because I'm sure they had no idea that something like this was going to happen. And mental health professionals would say, were there signs? Do we pay enough attention to people to recognize the signs if we were to see them? Or do we just go about our day? Or is it a case where people say certain things or threaten to do things so much till you ignore them because, oh, that's just Johnny. Johnny always talking like that. So we don't pay attention to Johnny. We gotta stop and take some accountability and look at things differently now. Like I said last week, things are hard. Life is rough. And everybody's not built from the same stock. Everybody can't handle what you can handle or what she can handle, or he can handle. And everybody doesn't know how to ask for help. So they may drop little nuggets. And we have to stay tuned in sometimes. And also, when's the last time you really ask someone, how are you today? Is there anything that I can do for you today? Is there anything that you need today? Do we do those kind of things for real? It's okay. I know we talk about that at church. We talk about that at Bible study or book club or whatever. But are we really doing it? Are we really living it? Are we really walking it? That is the question. And if we were, would we be seeing all of this? And I asked this, and again, I got this book here, and I'm not going by this book. Y'all know I don't go by this book, but I have it because I have to have it in case I need it. I'm asking this question, and this has been bugging me the whole weekend. Friday night, here in Richmond, Virginia, on Chamberlain Avenue, and it wasn't even quite night yet, a young lady was found hanging from a tree on a main strip now, a main road. By the grace of God, a man and his son was driving and saw her and got her down. I am not sure of her condition or whatnot. But again, you got to ask yourself, what in the world was going on with this young lady that this was the end all to be all? This is what she decided to do. First question. Second question. How many other drivers went by this young lady before this man stopped? Because they didn't want to get involved or whatever. Because we're talking about a main road here. So a lot of drivers went past this young woman before this guy stopped. For me, that's close to where I live. So that's close to home. And there are a lot of group homes along that strip. A lot of rest homes. A lot of residential homes there. And somewhere, it's not just her problem or her fault. Somewhere, something fell through the cracks for this young woman. Someone missed something with her. And she represents a community of people all across this country because of resources being lost. Which brings me to our healthcare and whatnot. Personal story. I went to make a doctor's appointment. Okay. So we don't have subsidies anymore here in Richmond, Virginia. I don't know if you all have the Obamacare, or or Obamacare, whatever. The subsidies are gone. So when I went to make my doctor's appointment, I now have a private insurance until June 1st. Well, I was told that they don't accept my private insurance and that I would be considered self-pay. Now, this is the third doctor I have gone to, y'all, that has told me this. I thought it was just me that was going through this. I have talked to several people that are going through the same situation. And they're being told this, that they don't accept their insurance. It's considered out of this new term now, out of network. So you're considered self-pay and you're going to be responsible. You're going to get a bill for for the services that are going to be provided for you. Well, y'all, we could damn near pay for the co-insurance and the co-pays that we had to pay when we had the subsidies in Obamacare and whatnot. So now we're going to have it all to deal with, and people can't do it. They can't do it. Then you have to figure out how you're going to survive with the rental rates. We got people out here that are in their houses or their apartments or whatever, but they have no electricity. And I'm telling you because I know. They have no electricity. They have no means to get their electricity cut back on. And they're going through social services, but they are told that they are on a waiting list. So they may get some help, but they have to wait until until they get to their name to see what can be done for them. In the meantime, they have no electricity. And this is America, y'all. America. It's mind-blowing to me. I guess I've been living in a bubble for so long, I guess, because this is mind-blowing that this is going on. And possibly it's been going on. This is nothing new. It's just being multiplied, I guess, since we have the person we have in office now. I don't know that's the reason. I don't know what the reason is, but people are suffering, and a lot of people don't know how to cope with what's going on. So it's causing them to handle it in ways in which, or not handle it in ways in which they normally would, because they feel like they have run out of time. They don't have any more resources, no more hope. The key word, hope. they've lost all faith, they've lost all trust, and they've given up. We have to check on each other and check on our people. Because it's real. It is real when people are taking their lives like this. And then the flip side, when you got people taking other people's lives. I've never in my 57 years seen so many children being killed before. Senseless killing of children. We've said Black Lives Matter. It's time for us to say children's lives matter and scream it loud. Feel free to, y'all can take it. I haven't trademarked it. Take it, use it for good, because something needs to be done. This is ridiculous and sickening. Ages 3 to 11, gone. Age 14, 18, gone. The young man that was just buried Saturday, 18 years old. Scholar, supposed to be on his way to Winston-Salem University. Track star. Wanted to be a nurse. Wanted to help people. Protecting his mama. Gone. It should make you angry. It should make you sad. You should feel something. And if you're not feeling something, you're not alive. You've desensitized. I said it, desensitized yourself to everything. And I can understand. It's easy to do because you become that flamingo and you want to put your head in the sand and whatnot. I understand. I am guilty of that sometimes. Because that way you don't have to be bothered with the craziness that's going on around you. You can block everybody out and just only focus on what you got going on, and you ain't got to be dealing with no foolishness. Can't nobody say you said nothing, all of that. But no. Now you got to stand up. Because we got to come together and do something. We got to figure out a way how to get politicians that are in alignment with what we need, for what the resources that we need, ways to keep our lights on, food in our refrigerator. Average gas, $4.54 a gallon. How much you think it's going to be next week? How much you think it's going to be by June 1st? We got to put people in the office that's going to work for us and not serve the pleasure of the president. That's what's going on right now. There are people, all of them, majority of them, serving the pleasure of the president while we perish. That will not work. It should not work. We have to do better. Stop buying all these, and I don't know all of them because I ain't into that kind of stuff. PlayStation this, and Xbox that, and this and this and that. I think I might have touched the pulse with this. Somebody looked at me funny. What I'm saying is, we got to educate our young people because they're supposed to be our leaders. They're supposed to be the ones that's going to be protecting us and guiding us going forward. And right now, I don't see nobody that's going to be taking Jesse and Al's place. That's what I'm getting at. And unless there's some game systems that's got something in place that's teaching them how to step into those shoes, y'all, we in trouble. That's what I'm saying. That's okay for them to have them and play with them sometimes. But we got to get we need leaders. We need some leaders. We need some leaders. Some kick butt, that ain't the word I want to say. Kick butt leaders is what we need. That's not afraid to call an ace and a spade a spade. That's what we need in our young people. That's what we need. That's the only thing that's going to get these laws overturned and whatnot and get some work done. I'm just saying. And I may be wrong, and please tell me. But we can't keep going on like this. And I know y'all know. I feel it. And I know y'all feel it. Every time you go gas up, you got to feel it. Every time you go to the grocery store, you got to feel it. So, what we going to do? DM me. Comment. I want to know, what do you want to do? What do you think we should do? What are your views? I want to know. This is not just I got something to say. It's I got something to say. Okay? All right. I'm going to take a little pause for the cause, and then I will be right back. All right? Get your sippy cups. Be right back.
Tico Wells, choir boy from the Five Heartbeats, and you're listening to Big Time Radio Network.
Join your bounty hunter, Mr. Charlie, on Big Time Radio Network every Friday starting at 7 p.m. for Sentinel AF. Mr. Charlo brings you the best in soca and dancehall music right to you radio, with some of the greatest soca and dancehall artists of all time, making you feel like he is bringing the island straight to you. So join your Oracle Mr. Charlie every Friday on Big Time Radio Network.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go! Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Look through your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Join Tahuti on the International Groove Carpet every Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. for sessions from around the world on Big Time Radio Network. Hop on board the carpet as he takes you on a musical journey around the globe, making stops in many places like India, Japan, Africa, Jamaica, and don't forget the good old USA. And just remember, you don't have to speak the language to understand the groove. Because the groove is in the blood.
Special guest, Mr. Antoine Mercer. Welcome, Antoine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. Antoine is a visionary and transformational speaker. He actually is the CEO of ADM Speaks. And I'm going to let him tell you exactly what that is.
Wonderful. So ADM Speaks Life. I am a certified life coach, motivational speaker, minister, all wrapped up in one. And what I like to do is I like to speak life and purpose into people, give them their voice back. To understand what they're doing in life, to understand their purpose, to understand who they are, and to be able to push them into the next round and phase in their life.
Cool. Do you have a specific audience?
No specific audience. It's of all ages. So whoever needs to understand what their purpose is in life, I'm your guy.
Okay. All right. So now, how do you in your own personal life, how do you navigate struggles and in turn advise others when they come across their own struggles and advise them as to not to give up?
That is a very good question. It is a very hard thing, because life be lifing. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we know life is hard. As the church folks would say, for Lottie, Dolly, and everybody. If you're on social media, if you get on Facebook, you can scroll through your feed and see that everybody is going through something. Right? And so for me, one of the reasons why God gave me the vision to start ADM Speaks Life is because I was at a low point in my life. I had lost my job. I had been evicted. I felt worthless. I felt like I didn't have a purpose in life. I didn't have a vision. I was moving from house to house. Like I was literally living like a nomad, right? And this wasn't like in my teens or in my early 20s. I was a 30-something-year-old man during this point, right? And so you start to have that identity crisis. You start to feel like, well, what am I here for? What am I doing, right? Like, I should be so further along in my life than where I am. And so out of that, what God birthed in me was, in order to help somebody else, you have to go through the struggle. Because how can I give somebody else advice on how to figure out what their purpose is or how to survive the struggles on life if I've never been through anything? And so the good thing about what I do is I speak from my own personal experiences. And I'm a young man, but I have lived a lot of lives. And I have been through a lot of stuff that people would not even think that someone of my age and my stature would have been through, but I've been through it. And so a lot of times when I'm talking to people, when I'm talking to them about what their purpose is and helping them through struggles, I speak from my personal experience, and it's healing, it's transformative, and that is what makes it great. And so for me, I recognize and understand that my testimony is attached to people. So when I talk about what I've been through, when I talk about being raped, when I talk about being evicted, when I've talked about, being homeless. When I talk about all of those things, I'm speaking from my personal experience to people that can identify because they've also been through those things.
Right. So you meet them where
I meet them where they are. And it's no judgment because I'm not judging you because you've been through something, because I've been through a similar experience. And so we can come together based off of our experiences and what we've been through. And then the healing part is I can tell them what helped me get through all of the things that I've been through in life.
Got you. Now, what technique do you use when you are? I know you do the speech, but do you do like one-on-one?
So I typically do one-on-one sessions. What I like to do is, because I believe that God is the center of everything. So, first, some type of prayer to set the stage. I like to invite God into everything that I do. But then also, I like to say affirmations. I like to get a sense of an understanding of what exactly are we going to be discussing? Like, what is your need? What are you looking for? What are we going to be talking about? And then from there, I go and figure out what is exactly the person that they need. What is it that the person actually needs, and how can I benefit them? Sometimes it's just being a listening ear. Sometimes people just want somebody to talk to. And that's it. They just want to know that they are being heard. And so sometimes I just provide a listening ear. Sometimes it may be a word of encouragement. Sometimes it may be just saying, it's okay.
Right.
I've been through that too. You're not alone. I survived, and so will you. And it's really about affirming people and letting them know that regardless of whatever you go through in life, regardless of how hard it is, how tough it is, how rough it is, there is always the sun at the end of the journey. And you're going to get through it. But you got to continue to fight. You got to continue to press. You got to continue to push. You got to continue to crawl. You got to run. You got to walk. You got to do whatever you got to do to get to that other side of the tunnel to see the sun. And you will get there. You will get there. Let me say this real quick. If you think about everything that's going on in the world right now, right? Everything that we're experiencing. This is nothing new for Black people. We've been here before. But we got through it. So if we got through it way back then, we can get through it again now. We just got to continue to fight.
Right. And we got to be prepared.
We got to be prepared.
The only thing, the only caveat to that is the preparation, because we can look back and we saw what grandmama did.
Yes.
But the grandmamas today, they not doing what the grandmamas back in the day did.
That is very true.
And see, the grandmamas back in the day prepared us for survival. So it's like, are we preparing our children for survival?
Yes and no. I would say no, in the sense of I agree with you 100%. The grandmamas back in the day are not doing, the grandmamas now are not doing what the grandmas back in the day did. Right? My grandmother was a praying woman. She taught me how to pray. I could get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and my grandma would be on her knees praying. She would fast during the day from 6 to 12. She would make us fast with her as little kids, and I hated it, right? Hated it. But it was preparation for who I am today and my ministry and my movement. So in that retrospect, I agree with you 100% no. But at the same time, I believe, yes, there is some preparation that is happening. And the preparation that is happening is we are living in a society in a time where we have more knowledge and more resources. And I feel like our younger generation are taking advantage of those resources and that knowledge that we have. And so, they are a little more prepared. I just think the bigger issue is they don't have that grit that the older generation had, right? Like, no matter how many times you knock me down, I'm getting back up, right? I don't think the generation that we have now has that grit. And that's what we need to really push into this younger generation. No matter how many times you get knocked down, get back up. And that's what I tell people when I coach them with my business. No matter how rough life gets, get back up. Keep fighting, keep pushing, keep moving. Don't give up, because there is something better at the end of this. And you may not be able to see it in the midst of all that you're going through, because when you're in a storm, you can't see outside of that storm. But you have to have faith and understanding to know that this is not how it's going to end for me.
And own it.
And own it. And walk in it. And be confident. Because life is hard. It is not easy. I don't think there's anybody in the world that will say that life is easy.
Up until, I guess, a couple of this last few years or so, I used to think things was real good, you know. I got it. I got it made, you know. And then life knocked me on my butt.
Yeah.
And showed me a thing or two. And now we're here.
On the other side.
Yeah.
On the other side. And it's funny because I was telling a good friend of mine, because I'm a firm believer that the power of life and death is in your tongue, right? And so I said to a friend of mine, we were having a conversation, and she's going through a lot, right? Just every time you turn around, it's like she's getting hit with something else, hit after hit after hit. And so one day we were talking, and I said to her, I said, you really have to be careful about what you say and how you say it. I said, because God honors what we say, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah. And I said, let me give you an example. You've been on your job for almost 10 years, and you've complained about how much you hate that job, how much you want a better job, how much you want more money, and then you get laid off. That's because you've constantly spoken about how much you want a better job with more money.
Right.
God knew you weren't ever going to leave that job, realistically. So he had to do something to make you move, to go and look for something better with more money, which is what you keep saying you want. The problem is, we don't like the way that God does things when we speak it in the atmosphere. We say, I want a new house, or I want a new job, or I want a new car. Right. And we expect all of the ducks to be lined in a row the way we want it, the way we think it should happen for it to happen. But God don't operate like that. I can use myself as an example. I drove around and I said, I want a new car. Didn't need a new car. My car is paid for. But I said I wanted a new car just because it's old. I've had it for a long time. I got tired of putting money in it. But I didn't have to pay any car payments, but I kept saying I want a new car. Mm-hmm. You know what happened? God knew I wasn't going to go out and get a new car because I was waiting to be in a better position financially so that I could get the car that I want. Mm-hmm. I'm driving down the highway one day. The car stops. I take it to the shop, and they tell me I need a whole new engine.
Mm-hmm. That took care of that, didn't it?
That took care of that. You said you wanted a new car. Well, here you go. Time to get a new car.
Just like that.
But I can't be mad and upset because the car broke down on me, and they're telling me it's going to be $10,000 to get a new engine. How God orchestrates things is not how we want it to be. And so we have to learn that even in the midst of trial and test and hard times, there's a lesson and a blessing. And we have to stop looking at things negatively because it's not always negative. It may look negative in the storm, but it's not always a negative thing because there's a better blessing, a better reward at the end of everything that you're going through and everything that you're dealing with. And that's how you keep a positive mindset. That's how you keep an attitude of gratitude. That's how you keep a praise, as the old folks will say, in your mouth. Because even in the midst of turmoil, I'm saying, God, I thank you.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lesson here, and then there's a blessing that's coming with it.
Yeah. And through it all, you're going to be better for it.
Through it all, you're going to be better for it. And I'm telling you, I am so much better for all of the things that I have gone through. Didn't like it when I was going through it, but now that I have gone through it and I look back, I am so much better for going through what I went through.
Because he gave you a testimony that can save somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. And that's what it's about. That's ministry. You know, there was a time in my life where I did ministry for 13 years. And when I was in ministry, I was in ministry. I was there all the time. I gave my time, my talent, my money, everything I had when I was in ministry.
You were in church?
I was in church, yes. And then church hurt me real bad. And I walked away from the church. But what I would always tell people is just because I walked away from the church, I never walked away from God.
Right. Two separate entities.
Two separate entities. And what I recognized and understood was God gave me a ministry that was outside of the church. But first I had to realize I am the church. The church wasn't the four walls that I was going to every Sunday, every Thursday, every Monday. The church is me. I am the church. And so my ministry doesn't have to be tied to a building. Now, yes, I am a firm believer you should go to church, right? I don't want people to get confused. You should go to church because there's power in fellowship. But we have to get out of the mindset of, I have to go to church in order to do ministry. You don't. You can do ministry just walking down the street and seeing a homeless person and buying them food, giving them something to eat, giving them something to drink, giving them clothes. That's ministry. Because the Bible says we entertain angels unaware. And so you don't know what that little blessing can do for somebody if you just give out of a kind heart. And that's ministry. And that's why when we're talking to youth, when we're talking to young people, we have to get them to understand everything you do is ministry. It really is if you think about it. If I'm walking down the street and I walk past somebody and I just say good morning, it could be your good morning that could save somebody's life. They could be contemplating suicide and you could walk by them and say, good morning, I hope you have a great day. And that could literally change their thought process for wanting to kill themselves. And that's ministry. It doesn't have to be behind the pulpit. It doesn't have to be,
flashy or anything.
No, it doesn't have to be any of that. And don't get me wrong, all of that is great in its place. But we have to understand that life has a bigger purpose for us all. And the purpose is for us to do what Jesus did. If we're saying Jesus is our greatest example, then we need to follow Jesus as our greatest example. Jesus hung out with the whoremongers. He hung out with the prostitutes. He hung out with the gamblers. He hung out with the thieves. He hung out with the murderers. And he just lived his life and taught from experience. He showed compassion when the people in the church didn't want to show compassion. And that's ministry.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So true. And so many people probably shouldn't go there, but want to pick and choose.
Yes. And here's the thing. I am under the mindset, right? I don't judge anybody because we all sin or do something wrong or do something that somebody's going to frown their nose up or live a life that somebody might not be. But here's the thing. It's not your job to frown your nose at me and tell me what I'm doing is wrong. That's between me and God's relationship. Because what I had to learn, right, once I walked away from the church, what I had to learn in establishing my own relationship with God is just because something bothers you doesn't mean that it's going to bother me. Your conviction is not my conviction. Right. So you can't say, and I've heard people say this, you shouldn't watch movies that got a whole lot of cussing in it. Well, just because a movie that has a whole lot of cussing in it bothers you doesn't mean it bothers me. Right. We on two different paths. Exactly. We have two different relationships. And so I am a firm believer that everybody just needs to stay in their own lane and just focus on you and God. Yes. Focus
your
on
relationship with God. If you spend enough time focusing on your relationship with God, you don't have time to worry about anybody else's relationship.
You don't. You don't. Because every day we are evolving and changing. And so every day, every morning I wake up, every time my feet hit the ground, there's something I got to work on. Mm-hmm. And if I'm always working on self, I don't have time to judge anybody else.
Mm-mm. No. Absolutely not.
So, I
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to our youth and getting them in, this is going to be bad grammar, better situations. What's your take on it? Trying to get them in more better situations.
You know what? This is my take.
Because summer's coming.
This is my take. Whitney Houston said it best when she said, I believe the children are the future.
Yes.
Teach them well and let them lead the way. Do you know how powerful those words are? It is our job to teach the youth so that they can be in better situations, better positions. And so as a community, we need to come together and we need to have resources to show these kids you don't have to be out in the street. If your interest is playing basketball, we have a rec center where you can go and play basketball and connect with other like-minded children and do something positive. If your interest is painting, we have classes that will teach you how to paint, how to draw. Whatever your interest is or whatever you want to do in life or whatever your passion is, there's a resource out here that you have access to. Mm-hmm. And we have to teach them that. But we also have to lead by example. Because we can't tell them, y'all don't need to be out in the street, but we out in the street. Mm-hmm. Right? If they don't see us bettering ourselves, they're not going to want to better themselves. And I think it also comes with, we have to listen. I came from the generation where you didn't speak. You didn't talk when grown folks was talking. You didn't speak. If they said something to you, that was it.
Right.
You had no opinion, right? This generation is different. They have tons of opinions and they want to be heard. And so we have to give them space to talk, to be heard. Because if we actually sat down and listened, we might realize that they might have something valuable to say.
Exactly.
And if we listen, that changes the whole dynamic. Because now they feel comfortable coming to you. Mm-hmm. talking to you, letting you know what's going on, letting you know what's happening in their lives.
And then you're going to know when such and such approaches them.
Absolutely.
When this person is bullying them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you got to be open to listening. And I don't mean listening to respond. I mean listening to understand.
And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The listening to respond. More of that needs to happen.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, right? It doesn't take much. You know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know, it costs money to do this. It costs money to do that. It costs money to do this. It don't take money to go to a neighborhood where kids are standing on the street corner and have a conversation with them. It don't take money to put on a program that you can have at a rec center. Because most of the time, rec centers will allow you to have events and things for free. We have so many excuses of why we can't do instead of finding ways to do. And that's the difference. And that's what we got to focus on. We got to find a way to do. Because in the state that we're in right now and the way that the world is in right now, it's literally life or death.
Yeah. And our children are front and center. When I was having this conversation with my mom, and I was telling her, I said, you know, when I was younger, I hardly ever heard of young people dying. When you talked about deaths, it was always the older people. Right.
But now you got young people dying every day. People not even making it to 20 years old or 18 years old or 16 years old or 14 years old. What? That was unheard of. 10. Yeah. That was unheard of. But now it's our reality. So what are we going to do to change it?
And it was rare that you heard of a lot of women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But now this is our reality. Mm-hmm. And so what are we going to do about it?
What do you think we should do about it?
I think
What's our first step?
Our first step is we need to get active in the community. Mm-hmm. And we need to let people know that we are not going to tolerate this type of behavior. We are taking back our community. We are taking back our children. We are taking back our lives. This is what we need to do. This is what John Lewis and Martin Luther King and all of them did. Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Where are our good trouble people?
Exactly.
What are we standing for? What are we fighting for?
Exactly. I've gotten, in this past year, have gotten more into the government than I have ever gotten into, and I don't even know how it happened. But I search for our leaders, trying to figure out who our leaders are, the leaders that look like us, the Jesse Jacksons, and you know. And I know we got Al. Al getting old, though.
But who comes after him?
Who comes after him? And I know Jesse's sons, they say a little bit, but they're not loud. So who is there for us? Who is there for us?
That's a good question.
Hakeem Jeffries?
Is he there for us?
I don't know. And it's just not looking good.
No.
And it's like, okay, so who can we get behind? You know, maybe we don't see anyone because we haven't gotten behind anybody and supported anybody to get this thing moving.
And I think there are people that are out there that we can get behind. I think what we have to understand as a people is we have to stop letting media people influences divide us.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if we were to talk about voting, it would be so much division about voting. Should we vote? You're going to have some people that's going to say, oh, your vote don't matter. You know, y'all voted for the redistricting. And look what happened.
Yeah. I ain't going to lie. It has me like.
But here's the thing.
Telling people to vote and then y'all do this.
Just because, you know,
they want us to give up.
They want us to give up. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a saying, you may win the battle, but you don't win the war. And so we have to stop looking at things short term and look at things long term. Because here's what people have to understand. Yes, we voted for the redistricting. It passed. The Supreme Court of Virginia came and shut it down. But there are two people whose terms are going to be up coming the next midterm election. That's when we go out and exercise our voice and say, because you didn't do the will of the people, we're going to remove you from office. Exactly. So we're going to show you how important and loud our voice and vote is.
Right. And the Supreme Court can't do a thing about it.
Can't do a thing about it. And that's what it means when you look at the long game, you look at the long-term effect. We can't be so short-sighted. We have to look at the bigger picture. Because if we just get caught up in what's happening in the moment, then we're going to lose sight of the end goal.
Right.
And we're not going to win every battle. But if we continue to fight, if we continue to let our voice be heard, we can win the war. And so that's how you get people to understand, yeah, you still need to show up and vote.
Right.
Your vote still counts. Because if you don't vote in the midterm election, you're keeping these you're keeping these same people in office. Mm-hmm. And so when something else comes important, they're going to vote the same way they've always voted because they feel like we don't care. Mm-hmm. So we got to show them that we do care.
Right. Right.
And that's why it's important for people to understand it's just not the presidential election that's important. It's all these little elections that folks don't talk about, that they don't tell you about. That's important.
That's more important.
Yes, it's more important. Mm-hmm. Get these folks out of office that aren't making laws and changes that help you. That has to be our message.
Yeah. Yeah, change the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Change the numbers.
Yep. And we can do it if we want to. Mm-hmm. If we come together unified, but that's a whole nother conversation within itself.
It's like you're going to have to come back and back. But look, I want us to stay right here for a second. I'm starting to get more and more into the word because I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
So I don't even know where it is in the Bible when it relates to voting.
Okay.
As far as Israelites and whatnot. And that we shouldn't, there's a question about whether we should be voting or not. Because to vote for a president is like choosing a king.
King. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know where you're going.
Where I'm going with
yes.
Okay. What's your views on this? Because I'm still trying to figure out a way.
So
it's like, I don't know where,
This is what people have to understand about the Bible, right? And this is my opinion. Let me just say that.
Well, right. Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that the Bible is, as we learned in Bible school, basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yes.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to understand the context, the time period, what was going on when this text was written.
Mm-hmm.
And so while the Bible is a framework, right, of how we should live day to day, it is not always going to fit into the time period that we are in. Mm-hmm. Prime example, the Bible says women shouldn't preach, Women shouldn't be in pulpits. The Bible says women should always have their hair covered. So you have, people that wear hats or dollies, as they call them, all the time. But here's the thing. You have to understand that your hair is also your covering. Mm-hmm. That's how Samson had his strength. His hair was his covering. Yeah. And when Delilah cut his hair off, what happened? He lost his strength because he lost his covering. Mm-hmm. Now, y'all don't shoot me because I'm bald. But I'm just saying, right? So we have to understand the Bible in the context that it's in and then make it applicable to where we are in this modern time. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't agree that we should not vote because it's like making a king. Because God created order and governance and the laws, right? He supernaturally gave us the mindset and the vision to put all of these things in place. And I am a firm believer that I don't believe that God is going to do something that is going to be contradictory to his word, right? I grew up holiness, old time holiness, right? My godmother was a pastor of an old time holiness church, and she didn't believe in going to the doctor. She didn't believe in going to the doctor. She didn't believe in going to the hospital because that's how she interpreted the word. And I literally, as a child, saw her one Sunday spitting up blood. And people are trying to say, you need to go to the hospital like you are spitting up blood. And she refused. Uh-huh. Because that was her faith. But God gave us doctors for a reason. He gave us psychologists and therapists for a reason. And so we have to understand that when God gives us these things, they are resources for us to use to better ourselves. Because we can't be so heavily minded that we're no earthly good. Yeah. Yes, have faith that God is going to bring you out, but also take your butt to the doctor and get checked out. And know that God will use those doctors to bring healing to your body. But there's also things that you have to do, because here's the other thing that people don't want to understand, right? The Bible goes together. Faith without works is dead. I can believe that God is going to heal me from high blood pressure and diabetes all I want to, but if all I'm ever eating is fast food and sweets,
ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. Mm-mm. There is some work that I have to do to activate my faith. And so that's what we need to understand. In voting, there's work that we have to do to activate our faith that God is going to bring us out of the mess that we are in by crooked people. Mm-hmm. But we got to do the work. Right. We got to show up to the polls. We got to vote. We got to be educated on the laws and the policies and all of the things. Right. Because that is the work that we have to do in order to activate the faith and also in order to move God's hand. Mm-hmm. Because God ain't going to always move just because you sitting there and you saying, well, I got faith that God's going to do X, Y, and Z. God's looking down and saying, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. You're saying you have faith, but how are you putting that faith into action? And that's the key part that so many people miss, right? We want to have all this faith, and I'm a faith believer. I am a faith believer, but I also understand I gotta put some action behind it. Right. I can't be unemployed and say God's gonna bless me with a new job, but never look for a job.
Right. I don't watch, but I'm here watching TV Monday through Friday.
It don't work that way. I got to do some work, which means I got to get on the internet. I got to look for jobs. I got to apply. I got to do my resume and change it every time I want to apply for a job to fit that description, and then have faith That as I'm putting out these applications, as I'm putting out my resume, God is going to touch somebody's heart that is going to grant me an interview that will give me a job.
Yeah. That is so true. So true.
But you got to do something. And a lot of times, I'm gonna be real with you. We're lazy. We don't want to do the work. We just want God to bless us out of osmosis, but we don't want to do the work.
That is so true. For the past year and a half, I was saying I wanted to go to work. So I stopped working because I was partially blind.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept on saying, I'm going to get me a job. I don't think I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to go back to work. And so my kids was like, oh, Mama, you don't need to work nowhere. And I was like, I think I'm going to get me a job. But I wasn't really looking for a job. So week before last, I decided I was going to start punching the little button on ZipRecruiter and letting my resume go on out there. So I was on my way for a little weekend getaway, and I got a call for a job. So she said, well, when can you come for an interview? I said, well, I'm on my way for a staycation, but I can get with you when I get back. And she laughed. She said, okay, well, it's nothing wrong with that. And then I thought, Angie, that was stupid. You told the woman.
You on your way on a staycation, but you want a job.
So we scheduled my interview and everything. So I went to the interview. So we just talking about everything. And so she said, well, if you was to be offered, when could you start? I said, well, I guess I could start. I said, well, let me look at my calendar. She said, well, yeah, do that first. So I looked at my calendar. I said, well, I could start Friday. Or, I guess I could do Friday. She said, well, I'm going to put you down for training Friday. I said, huh? She said, well, she said, I love your energy. I loved your energy from the time you walked through that door. She hadn't talked to me. She hadn't spoken to me when I walked through that door. She wasn't even out there when I walked through that door.
Personal testimony. Because you put some action behind your faith.
Right. And I just wanted to work when I wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, didn't realize I applied for part-time 11 to 7 shift. And so she said, but I got PRN too. I said, you know what? PRN is what I want because I still got a life and I travel and whatnot. And she just laughed. She said, okay. She said, well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put you down for PRN. I said, that's perfect. I'll take that. I guess she said, this woman right here. But I said, you know what? I stopped and thought about that thing. I said, God made this job for me.
Absolutely.
In the world, there's a job like this. And I love it. They feed me. The chefs go in and cook my food for me. I love that job.
And now imagine if you had never sat down and said, I'm going to press this button on ZipRecruiter. You would have missed it.
That's that opportunity.
And a whole lot of times, and here's the kicker. That's the thing. We miss out on so many blessings because we don't take action. So many things pass us by because we don't take action.
Yeah. Or fear.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it in a nutshell.
So I am definitely.
Well, congratulations. I'm happy for you.
That's my testimony, y'all. So hopefully it blesses somebody out there.
Absolutely.
Push the button.
Push the button. Do the work.
So, little birdie tells me that you wrote a book.
Yes. So the name of the book is called AM in the Morning. It's a 180-day inspirational journey. And it's I'm going to put it this way. God gave me the vision to write this book primarily because I was talking to my mom one day, and my mom loves the news. She's a news junkie. And she was trying to decide what she wanted to give up for Lent.
Uh-huh.
And I said, why don't you give up the news? Because you watch it 24/7. And she was like, oh, no, I did. She said, oh, no, I can't do that. I can't give up the news. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I look at the news on my phone. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head, right? The first thing we do when we first wake up is we grab our phone, we turn on the TV, we check emails for work or leisure or whatever the case. We do everything under the sun except talk to God. And so the purpose behind this book is to let people know, to allow God to speak to you before the world speaks to you, right? And so if we would take just 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes when we first wake up and give that time to God, how much better would our day be than if we got up and we got on Facebook and we're scrolling through our timeline, or we're reading the news on our phone, or watching the news on TV, or we're checking emails from work. Because what I have realized is a lot of that dictates how your day is going to be. You're watching the news and you see somebody shot and killed on the news. Now you're going to be sad because of what you just saw in the news. Or you're scrolling on Facebook and you're seeing somebody's status and their status bothers you. So now you might be angry. And you're going to carry that anger throughout your day. Or you wake up and the first thing you do is you check your work emails. And now you have anxiety all throughout the day because you've looked at all of the emails from your boss asking you, where is this and where is that and when is this going to be done? And now you got all this anxiety that you don't know what to do with or where it came from because that's how you started your day. And so it really is a devotional, a morning devotional about just seeking God first and allowing him to speak to you first thing in the morning before the world speaks to you. And it's not, I need to say this, it's not super religious. It's scriptural, but it's also practical because it speaks to your everyday life and everyday situation. So.
Can anybody? It's for anybody?
It's for anybody. It's for anybody. I am for the people. Yes, and so the goal is to hopefully have it out end of 2026, beginning of 2027. But I think people will really enjoy it and it will make a difference in their lives. When I had originally told my mom about it, she said, well, why did you do 180 days? I said, well, because it's 6 months. And you can do 6 months anytime. It doesn't have to be January to June or June to December. It can be January, March, August, whenever. Because it's all relevant and applicable to wherever you are in life. Because it's dealing with real life. Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
I am too. I am too. So actually, that is, I'm actually writing 2 books. So that is the first half. I like to say my spiritual side.
Okay.
The second, hold on to your feet.
Yeah, you talking about the first half.
The second half is also somewhat spiritual, but it's called The Altar in the Closet. And it's basically about, it is, I'm going to say this and this might get me in trouble. It is somewhat based off of my life. So the stories in the book are my stories. Mm-hmm. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
It's starting to sound like a Lifetime movie now. Yeah.
It is definitely giving a Lifetime movie, but it's about this young man who grows up in this religious household. But there's a lot of secrets within his family. There's secrets regarding his birth. There's secrets regarding, he has his own secrets that he is hiding from the family regarding his sexuality. And, it's so good. It's so good.
So when is that? That's going to come out much later.
That will come out much later. Yes.
I'm ready for that now.
When I tell you it is good. It's good. It's good. It's really good. So I'm definitely excited about that. Because I think a lot of times, we don't talk about things that happen, in the Black families. We sweep things under the rug. You don't talk about that. You don't talk about this. It's nobody's business. But what happens in the family stays in the family is what they say, right? But I think sometimes in order to get healing from yourself, for yourself, and for other people, you have to talk about things. And a lot of times we don't talk about things.
And so many secrets go to the grave.
So many secrets go to the grave. Absolutely. And our lives would be so much better if we just took a minute and talked about whatever the secrets are, because at the end of the day, you realize it ain't that bad.
No.
It's not that bad. Not that bad at all. So I'm looking forward to that. Because like I say, I've lived an interesting life. So yeah.
But our elders were always so afraid of what people gonna say.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They were afraid. They were afraid of being shamed. They were afraid of being embarrassed, all the things, and that's why, when they got pregnant at a young age, they sent them down south. And then the next thing you know, Aunt Susie or somebody had a child, and, it's like.
Yep.
Because that just wasn't acceptable.
Right.
In their time. It was frowned upon. Now. Everybody having babies. Babies having babies.
Babies having babies. It's okay.
Yeah. But I just also think in order for us to understand where we're going, we have to understand where we've been. And I think, again, this is my opinion, if our grandmothers and their grandmothers and so forth had been open and honest about the things they had been through in their life to their kids, that would have passed on to generations, and maybe we wouldn't have babies having babies because they would have had that education and they would have had that knowledge, they would have had that understanding, right? And it wouldn't have been the thing of
do as I say and
not as I do. Yeah. And they didn't know no better. I mean, I always tell people, because I do coaching a lot of times for people who have issues with parents, right? And so one of the things I like to tell them is, I said, you have to learn to give your parent grace. Because what I understand, and I'm not a parent, right? But what I understand is there is no manual or rule book, playbook, whatever you want to call it, to parenting a child. A lot of these parents...
Parenting for dummies now?
It might be, but...
It wasn't back then.
It wasn't back then, no. But a lot of these parents are just learning as they go.
And taking what they got from there.
Yes.
And a little salt and pepper.
Absolutely. And they're not going to always get it right. And when you become and what I tell them, what really gets them is when I say, and when you become a parent, you're going to want your child to give you grace because you're not going to always get it right. And I have friends who are amazing parents, right? In society's eyes. Like I have one of my best friends. He's an amazing father. His kids have been out of the country more times than I've probably been out of the country as a grown adult, right? And so they have all these privileges. They have all this access. They have all of these things. They have a roof over their head. They food, whatever. I'm not saying he gives them whatever they want, but they live a really good life.
Right.
But if you were to talk to them today, they would probably tell you some things that they think he didn't do correctly. And so I had a conversation. We were talking about one of his kids one day, and I had a conversation with him, and I said, "You're a great father. I don't ever want you to think that you are not a great father, because you have given your kids everything that you never had." I said, but you also have to realize that there may be things that you have done or did that may not be great for your children.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have those conversations with them and listen and hear what they say and say, you know what? I apologize. I didn't get that right. And that's okay. I did the best I could. I had to have that conversation with my mom. It was a very hard conversation. I'll never forget it. I had attended this event, and I was very close to my grandmother. My grandmother died in November of 2021, and then my father died in March of 2022. So they died close to each other.
Right.
And before my grandmother died, we had a rift in our relationship. She said some things to me that really hurt me, and it fractured our relationship. And growing up, I never had a relationship with my dad, like talking about. But when he got sick, I stepped in and did what, I should do as a child and took care of him until he passed away. And so I was at this event, and they were like, pull these 2 cards and it'll be a message from somebody that has passed on. And so I pulled the 2 cards, and it was truly a message from my grandmother and my dad. The message from my grandmother said, I didn't mean the things that I said, and I apologize. I needed to hear that.
Right.
And when I read that, I immediately started crying. And then the message from my dad was something along the lines of, thank you for being there when no one else would. And that...
You were done.
I was done. Done. And so I called my mom, and I'm sharing this with her. And, my mom has her own...
take on it.
And she's like, well, why did you feel the need to have to get all of that? And I said, because there were things that you don't know about that happened to me that hurt me. And I said, so then we got on the conversation about her as a parent. And I said, you have 3 kids. I have 2 other siblings. I'm the middle child. I said, I was always your emotional child, but you were not an emotional mother. And I said, growing up, I used to want to be very affectionate with my mom. I used to want to, go and hug her and kiss on her. And she would say, get away from me, Judith. But she never realized how much that hurt hearing that. Especially when you're craving affection and emotion from your mom. And my mom is not an emotional person. She is not at all. And so she took me saying that as I was saying that she was a bad mother. And I said, I'm not saying that you're a bad mother. You are a great mother. I wouldn't trade you for anything in the world. But what I'm saying is there were certain things that you did that hurt. Because you couldn't give me what I needed as a child. And that's okay. And so she got upset. She got off the phone. And then an hour later, she called back and she said, I apologize for not understanding your need during that time and being able to meet that need. Because what we have to realize is if we don't get what we are seeking from our parents, we're going to go somewhere else. And so if we really think about why people act the way that they act, it's probably because somewhere in their life or their childhood or wherever, they didn't get something from somebody that they loved And now they're going elsewhere to seek and find it.
That is so true. That is so true.
But we don't realize that if we don't ever have these conversations, if we don't ever say, I really needed an emotional mom. I really needed someone to hug me, to hold me, to, be affectionate with me because that's the type of person that I am. And I didn't get that. And so when I didn't get that at home, I went elsewhere to try and get that.
Right.
Which put me in situations that I had no business being in.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying it's your fault. Those were the choices that I made.
Had that kind of impact on you.
Yes. And so I want to be able to have those adult conversations to say, hey, yes, you were an amazing mom. Never wanted for anything. All my friends thought we were rich, and we weren't. But there were also things that I needed outside of the essentials, right? Outside of the clothes, the roof, the food. I needed that love and affection, and I didn't get it, which is why I was so close to my grandmother. Because she would give me that affection that I wouldn't get from my mom.
Right.
So.
Gosh. Well, we're nearing the end, and I'm going to need you to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. This has been.
I need more time with you.
Yes, listen, I got something to say.
I love it. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook, Antoine Mercer. You can find me on TikTok, Antoine Mercer. You can find me on Instagram, Mr. Mercer to you, or ADM Speaks Life. And that's where I be.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us again for another Monday's episode of I've Got Something to Say podcast. Again, I'm your girl, Angela Canty Ingram. You can reach me on Facebook, Angela Canty Ingram, or on the podcast Facebook page, I've Got Something to Say podcast. Thanks to G Money.
Woohoo!
Entertainment for having us.
My boy.
And we will be back again next Monday. So meet me here, y'all. Stay safe. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. Peace.
Peace.
Yes. I need more time with you. We could